you can exit out, hit escape, and then it'll minimize it.
Okay. We're live now, so take it away, Mario.
Hold on 1 second. Advantage who can share host. Just everyone. Okay, there we go. Everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Okay. And... Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to do a countdown so that we can get started.
We're actually already live, Mario, so no need for countdown.
Sounds good. All right, yes. Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for attending today. Today's presentation is to introduce to the community of Brisbane the Flock automated readers. We appreciate the time you have taken to attend this evening. And in valuing your time, we will keep our presentation concise and detailed and still answer all your questions and concerns. We hope to address any community concerns regarding technology and answer any questions. Our staff today consists of Chief of Police Elizabeth Macias. I am Commander Mario Garcia. Our Communications Manager Caroline Chung, who will be moderating the webinar, Zoom webinar, and Flock's Community Engagement Representative Hector Solomon Valdez. For those who could not attend this evening, we will be recording this presentation and posting it on our YouTube channel, along with having a link on our website embedded so that you can watch it from our website. This presentation will also be shown to the City Council on July 7th for their approval. As I move through the presentation, we ask that all the questions be reserved until the end. Also, during the presentation, feel free to send any questions in the chat feature, and we will answer those questions at the end as well. At the end of the presentations, our communications manager will elect you or choose you after you raise your hand and give you the option to unmute, and then you can answer your question. Or we can answer your question. Before we begin, I'd like to turn this over to Chief Lisa Macias for opening comment.
Thank you, Mario. Good evening. I'm Chief Lisa Macias, and I'd like to just start by thanking all of you for being here with us this evening at our virtual community engagement meeting on the police department's interest in utilizing automated license plate readers, ALPRs, as an additional investigative tool to assist our police departments in investigation. We have certainly seen an increase in property crimes not only within our city, but countywide. The increase in criminal activity has led to community inquiries about our efforts to deter crime within the city. The increase in crime, coupled with the limited personnel due to staffing shortages, limits our ability to handle this growing increase in crime. We believe that adding ALPRs as an additional investigative tool will assist us in a couple of ways: deterring, solving, preventing, and detecting criminal activity in the city as we strive to fulfill our mission of providing excellent levels of service to our community and keeping our residents and our business community safe. So again, I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's virtual meeting. It's important for us to be transparent about our interest in acquiring ALPRs, and we hope after tonight's meeting, you will have a better understanding of how ALPRs work, how we are going to use them, and we hope to alleviate any community concerns. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Commander Garcia to start the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Chief. Second here. One technical difficulty. Okay. Our presentation today will cover topics of crime statistics in the recent years from 2018 to 2022. We picked these years because we had a pre-pandemic area of time where we wanted to take those numbers and during the pandemic and coming out of it. Our presentation goals will also introduce the ALPRs. We'll go over privacy issues that ALPR encompasses and protects, the technology benefits of the ALPRs, and then at the end, we'll go into questions and answers. So with that, okay. In the past 5 years, the city of Brisbane has seen an increase in crimes that are associated with vehicles. Although the city of Brisbane, in comparison to the state and nationwide, has a low crime rate, we're still affected by spikes in crime. It happens everywhere. To aid the police department in helping address and neutralize these crime spikes, we look into the 21st century for technology tools that will help us in deterring, investigating, prosecuting these who are responsible for these crimes. As you can see, we've had a spike in stolen vehicles between the years of 2018 all the way to 2022 that exceeds 100% in jump in stolen vehicles. More specifically, probably around 150%. We've also had a noticeable increase in crime such as catalytic converters due to thefts of the price increase in metal starting catalytic converters. A lot of these crimes involve subjects that drive into our city and do these crimes and drive back out. These types of crimes involve suspects driving in and out of cities at all times, all throughout the night. And these ALPRs will definitely help in the crimes. Most suspects in driving these vehicles affix stolen license plates taken from similar vehicles in an attempt to evade identification. The use of ALPR technology will notify police officers when these suspects driving these vehicles enter and leave our city. With an early detection system such as ALPRs, our police officers, who most of the times are two in the city, can actually start heading towards the direction of these vehicles and deter crime. You will see in a later slide, in the later slide, the detection of vehicles associated with crimes, investigating ingress and egress in the city will prevent crimes from occurring with other cities successfully. So what is an ALPR? Does it look like a camera? Yes, but it doesn't act like the cameras that we have today. We are used to having most cameras that possess the ability to take videos and clear pictures of people and our surroundings. ALPR uses camera technology, but in a different method. Automated license plate readers use infrared technology to capture license plates. The materials used to print license plates use a reflective material that ALPR picks up on and digitizes that image to obtain a reading. The ALPR also uses its technology to digitize shapes and images of vehicles, damages to vehicles, insignias on vehicles. The ALPR then takes that digitized image and compares it with the database that it keeps in the cloud. Within the flock database, it can then send an alert to officers of any of these aspects of the vehicles, license plates, or features of vehicles, and send them to officers. Most of these alerts are vehicles that have been involved in crimes and serious crimes. So anything that is not reflective in our license plate does not show up as an image for us, nor does it set an alert for the officers. So it doesn't act like a surveillance camera where it sees an object or someone walking. It doesn't pick up on people walking. So protecting our privacy. How does Flock protect our privacy? The data is retained from ALPR is the property of the Brisbane Police Department and is never sold or shared by Flock. The retention period is only 30 days, which complies with all state Senate mandates. The ALPR does not have facial recognition software and is only designed to capture vehicles and license plates. This is evident in its narrow lens capability. It's only intended to capture the area and the height of a license plate and not other areas such as windshields or rear windshields or windows, so it doesn't obtain pictures of the occupants in the vehicle. The software is designed to be fed information and only send alerts based on the data inputted in the system. The detailed policy that will be implemented with the use of ALPR prohibits any immigration enforcement which comes into compliance with the American Values Act. The software that runs Flock utilizes a symmetric key encryption, which has a key length of 256 bits. For those of you that don't know, that's known as AES 256, and it also has a multi-factor authentication for personnel that log into the system. What that means is that all the data that goes up to the cloud when it's stored, it's encrypted. So even if that data were to get in the wrong hands, it is encrypted so they could easily read it. When our officers log into the system, it has a multi-factor authentication, which has a secondary process to make sure that that's the officer that is logging into the system. Each inquiry in the system requires an officer to have a reason and why they're accessing the data. This data is then stored, which is auditable by the police department, and we are going to audit this information on a monthly basis. Lastly, the use of automated license plate readers takes the human biases and events out of the criminal involvement. So what that means is when the license plate reader is in place, it only reads license plates, and it only reads license plates that are entered in the system as being associated with a crime. It doesn't distinguish whether a car doesn't belong in the area and sends an alert. It doesn't do any of that. Okay. So along with keeping with the privacy, protecting the privacy of our citizens, we are also launching a transparency portal. This transparency portal will be available through our website. It's going to be a link where a community member can click on the website, can click on the link, get to this website. This is an example of Morgan Hill's transparency page. This transparency page will have a lot of information on it that we can customize and put up there so that we can alleviate any uses of the system in regards to how many vehicles it's read in the last 30 days, which agencies we share with, and basically it also provides an additional link on the bottom to us to send people to the information that they would like to see. Now, how can ALPRs help investors? This is where Flock really comes in the limelight. But before I proceed, we need to understand why Flock was developed. So in 2017, the founder of Flock, CEO Garrett Langley, experienced property crime in his Atlanta neighborhood. With little to no help to help police track down the suspects, it became a dead-end case, and he saw an opportunity to make a change. After working with local police, he understood that he needed to come up with software and hardware that would give them leads into locating and solving crimes. Garrett and his founding team developed the hardware and software that would provide police actionable leads and still balancing the community privacy. The development of Garrett and his team led to what we call today as Flock, an automated license plate reader. The information provided by the system provides law enforcement a live stamp of when a vehicle comes into the areas and covered by ALPRs. The installment of the ALPRs would give our officers alerts on when vehicles associated with serious crimes such as stolen vehicles, vehicles used in the past, identified by law enforcement as prolific burglars, can be entered in the system. And so that if these vehicles were to enter in an ALPR area, it would again notify our officers that the vehicle came into the city. Well, later, when we get to our later slides, I'll show you where this benefits our officers by giving early detection of vehicle associated with crimes. Also, along with vehicles associated with crimes, the ALPRs can help locate missing persons, child abductions, and basically locate vehicles that have a significance in helping someone that are associated with a vehicle. Maybe someone that is missing, but with a level of medical issues, we can put in the system so we can detect this vehicle if it were to come through our system. So what does the ALPR read? ALPR is a machine that basically digitizes, like we said in the earlier slide, that goes through and digitizes the image it sees. It sees cars, but it sees cars in images of whether it's a coupe, hatchback, convertible, sedan, or wagon. You can see SUVs. It digitizes what an SUV would look like and label it as an SUV. A pickup truck. Pickup trucks have a distinctive shape. Vans, buses, golf carts, and some bicycles that are large enough, especially if they're electric bicycles with license plate, because they have a dual purpose. Motorcycles and trailers. But what does it, and also, but what prior to developing these leads, it would take officers 4 times the amount to develop a lead in order to develop what leads that they could solve the crime with. So let me give you an example. ALPR can read a make of a vehicle, a make, a vehicle type, and color. Timestamp of the vehicle when it comes in egress and ingress out of a city, and damages on the vehicle. So say hit and run. During a normal investigation, officers would be limited to investigative leads that could take a long time. Some of those investigative tasks would be neighborhood canvassing for witnesses that may have seen the crime and may have saw and remembered the license plate was on that vehicle. I'm not sure about any of you, but when you see a license plate, it's very difficult to see it from a naked eye, from a plain view, depending on the distance, and actually getting it correct. A lot of times we get license plates from citizens, and they think they saw a 6, but it's actually a G. We can also canvass neighborhoods to find surveillance videos. And if our officers are lucky enough, we have to find video that can actually give us a clear enough view of the license plate. A lot of times we can see what happened. We can get the color of the car, maybe the make, depending on the lighting, but we may not get the license plate. Third and last, we can also get what's called a cellular phone ping from major carriers on what cell phones were in the area, and hoping that the criminals at that time had their cell phones on them. This becomes a lengthy process, and it has to go through the courts. This process can take anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks to get the search warrant written, to get this information. The information gets returned to us, and then we then feed this information to another software machine that would tell us what cell phones and what numbers were in the area. From there, we would then get another search warrant for the actual identity of that cell phone number. So you can see these take a long time. With ALPRs in place, if the vehicle were to conduct a crime and leave an area, the ALPR would get the egress view of the say that someone stole a vehicle, and we don't know what time they left. When we would get notification that that vehicle is stolen, we can enter in the system. We can go to our system for flock and see what time it left the area and what direction it left. Okay, so what does it not do? ALPR does not do detection of speeds. It doesn't do traffic control in terms of traffic enforcement. It doesn't take pictures of drivers. The placement of our flock cameras will have a view of the back of the vehicle, and we don't capture the view of the front of the vehicle. Most of the times, vehicles, 99% of the time to 100% of the times have rear license plates. Some don't have rear license plates. The system does not communicate with DMV registrations. This is another area where ALPR kind of shines. When this system was developed, this system was not overbuilt. It was simplistic in its engineering, and because of that, it has exceeded what our needs are, with still balancing the privacy issues of our community. So what does that mean? So the system only takes in data. It reads license plates and it takes data in. It doesn't talk to anyone. It doesn't talk to any DMV computers. It alerts us, but then we would then do the work to go into the system and look at the actual read. And that alone does not give us authority to stop any vehicle, but it does give us a lead, and then we develop further investigations from there. Okay, now let's go into some of the success stories of what's happened. San Ramon PD across the bay. San Ramon PD received an alert from the system, an associated vehicle with burglaries that entered into their city. Officers located the vehicle based on an alert and was able to stop the vehicle and initiate the investigation. The investigation resulted in them locating drugs, stolen property, burglary tools in the vehicle. As a result, they were able to prevent the crime from taking place. This is what we meant by early detection. When a vehicle is ear tagged in a system, in what's called a stolen vehicle system, it can be entered in that system for several reasons, whether it was involved in a crime, maybe in a shooting. It's been involved in several burglaries throughout the Bay Area. This would give our officers the ability to know that it came into the city, and then we could then look for it and address it and see what they were doing. And then develop an investigative lead to pull it over and see what was going on. San Mateo Police Department. 3 people kicked in the door of an elderly woman. They held her at gunpoint and robbed her of jewelry and valuables. The suspects then fled in the vehicle. They already had their ALPRs in place, so they were able to locate the vehicle that was used in the crime on the time frame and identity of the suspects. Without this, they would not have been able to prosecute this crime. So again, if we were to get a report of a heinous crime and we were there normally within under 3 minutes, we would then be able to go to the system, look for any vehicles that left that area. A lot of these crimes are done in wee hours of the morning, and then we can compare those vehicles, maybe even just a description, and start looking at what vehicles left the city of Brisbane, and then we can develop leads from there. Coma Police Department. They, again, Como Police Department received an alert of a stolen gray Dodge Charger that has come into the town. Officers were able to locate the vehicle and safely take the suspect into custody of the incident. Upon searching the vehicle, they located a loaded 9mm Glock handgun was found. It was later determined that the handgun was previously stolen from out of Louisiana. This crime was prevented at this time. They don't know, obviously we don't know what could have taken place, but with someone that enters into a city with a stolen vehicle along with a stolen gun out of Louisiana, I can only imagine what they were there to do. Hillsborough Police Department. Hillsborough Police Department gets an alert about a stolen 2007 Hyundai Sonata. Officers immediately start heading towards the alert. The vehicle was then located after it recently just hit a hydrant. Based on the fact that they had the alert and they were already in scene, they were able to find the driver walking away from the vehicle and take him into custody. Again, the suspect was found to be on probation for carjacking out of Contra Costa County. This is where the police department again gets an alert. They react to the area where the stolen vehicle came into. This vehicle actually got into an accident and was in progress of a hit and run, which is a crime. Luckily, because the officers had already started that way, they were able to still locate him walking away from the vehicle. If they had only gotten the report of a vehicle that had hit a fire hydrant, then they would get there, they would have to run the plate, they would have to find out it's stolen, and then they would go looking for the driver, and by that time the driver could have been lost. So what do they look like? ALPRs can be mounted literally anywhere. They look like this. They're a simple product. Again, Flock Keeping It Simple has developed a great tool. They can be mounted literally anywhere, and it takes a lot of cost out when they've already, they can be installed, and they are installed with solar panels. So what does a flock hit look like to us when we get an alert? This is what we get. If you see the picture on the top right, that is the vehicle, and that is the view we get. No occupants of the vehicles. We really can't tell how many people are in the car. It will give us the license plates, the date visited. It will also tell us if it was seen, how often it was either gone through the city or it registered in our city. Flock has the ability to be able to also distinguish color and the make. If you notice that square where it's at, it's the license plate, and right above it is the emblem. Again, Flock has a unique ability to digitize an image, and based on that image can be compared to other images, and it can be labeled as a Toyota. So we know it's Toyota, gray, has a license plate. Vehicles located, vehicles taken with a shot, again, only has the rear. We don't take it from the front, and no traffic enforcement ticket. So we are looking for cost. We are looking to get 12 cameras at a yearly cost of $2,500 a piece. That puts us at $38,000. There is a one-time fee of $350 per camera for installation. In this proposal, we are looking to get a Falcon Flex. A Falcon Flex, what that does is, a Falcon Flex is a mountable ALPR, self-contained, with a solar unit on it, so we can mount it on basically a traffic speed trailer, and we can actually put it in an area. Now, why would we need that? So going back to the slide where we had the crime stats, we had about 17 car burglaries in probably in the last year. Those burglaries were specifically in an area of the industrial area that was probably within a good 5 square blocks. The hard part with that is it was taken over a period of 6 to 8 months, and it's hard to target when these were taken. So with the ability to be able to move a camera mountable on a trailer or even a city-owned pole, we can put this Falcon Flex camera, then we would get an alert if someone were to actually enter that area, or even when vehicles were taken. A lot of times, some of the vehicles were taken during a time period of 3 days or 4 days, depending on if it was a holiday. These vehicles were commercial vehicles. They were taken because of their tools. The Falcon Flex camera would give us at least the ability to know what day it was taken so that we can now start formulating a plan to address the issue and the days they're taken, when the crimes occur. So that's what the Falcon Flex gives us. We would only deploy it in areas that we would need to address issues, such as high crime rates like stolen vehicles, and in areas that we need a little bit more control of that area of what's going in and out. There is a $2,500 fee yearly for the software. So the 1 year total of the initial install would be $39,700, and then a recurring fee of $35,500. This pricing plan for Flock also addresses an issue that we've had in the past with law enforcement technology. In the past, it's been expensive to buy equipment, up close to $100,000 for equipment. And it's a big push for a department to get that money. And then for us to maintain that. With this cost, it's an all-inclusive cost. Flock will maintain it, upgrade it, service it, and we don't have to worry except for paying that fee. It is a lease program. It's generally it's a lease program for 2 years. If we decide after 2 years, let's say that's not working, not getting the results that we need, or it's not a useful tool that we need, we can also always separate ourselves from Flock. But with the current statistics and the current trends, ALPR is definitely going to be helping us as far as an investigative tool. This tool is a force multiplier for us. Our department is small. We can't be everywhere in the city. And with the placement of these in the outer perimeters, it will give us the ability to be able to know when something is coming into town. That's why it's called the force multiplier. It's like having an officer at every entry and exit point to the city. And it will only alert us on vehicles that are associated with crimes. And if they're associated with crimes, stolen vehicles, anything that could harm our community, we want to know. So with that said, who else has ALPRs in our county? Everyone, a lot of agencies in our county, except for two agencies have it. The areas around us, in terms of South San Francisco, Daly City, and even San Francisco, do have ALPRs. So it is a growing trend that is definitely taken off. It's helping our community, the communities that install ALPRs. I think at this point, ALPRs are within, they've installed 1,200 cities. So it's definitely a tool that is worth obtaining. So with that said, I will conclude our presentation, and we will answer any questions that you may have. Caroline, do we have anybody with questions? If you have questions, please raise your hand, or if you typed it in, we can definitely answer that. Again, our staff is here with the chief, myself, and Hector, and we can answer any questions you have.
Yes, if anyone had any questions or comments, you can use the raise hand feature in Zoom, or you can type it into the chat window. And
Any questions?
yeah, we have one. So from Aaron, allowed. There you go.
Hi, Aaron.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So I would first like to say that I am very appreciative of this entire public meeting and how well advertised it was prior to the event, because this is, technology that definitely raises that privacy concerns flag. And I think the presentation did a pretty good job of covering that, especially, my biggest worries about this, and I didn't do any research before this. So there's that. I think the technology is going to be really useful as advertised. I am still worried about like the edge cases and the unintended consequences. And I understand that you guys will only get an alert if the car license plate is already associated with a crime.
Right.
But what's to keep any police department really from deciding that, they didn't like that that group that assembled at, you know, Mission Blue or at the community park, and they want to look at all those people who might be, you know, people of color or people who wore black trench coats or whatever. What's to keep the police department from using the data in a way that isn't associated with an actual crime?
Well, again, I mean, this system would only notify us of vehicles that were entered in the system as stolen. And that's where it takes the biases out of it. It doesn't tell officers that, hey, we have a group of 5 people in a car that only sees 4 and they're all hanging out of the windows. And I mean, it doesn't do that. It only tells us of the plates that is reported stolen or the car is reported stolen. But even that, we still don't pull over immediately just for that. We would still confirm everything. It would just be an indicator to us that we would need to look at this car and see maybe what they're doing. But outside of that, I mean, it wouldn't really give us any indications of anybody coming in that weren't already associated with a stolen vehicle or something.
That's if you don't mind, that's what I understood. But then when you said that you could use the mobile unit to go watch for when cars were being stolen, obviously those cars hadn't been reported stolen yet. So it does seem like you guys have access to the database of cars that don't have an alert already set to them.
That's correct. We would have access to the database, but that database, again, we would have to, for an officer to access this database, they would have a reason to access it in terms of a case that they're working. So they couldn't just go into the system and say, well, I want to see where they came in because I got their plate because I drove by them. That is not enough and not sufficient enough for them to query the system. And that's where we as administrators would audit the system monthly and make sure that that does not happen. They would have to put a reason why they were querying that database.
And if I can quickly just add to that, I'm muted. We also will have a policy in place that will require that it will go through all of the training requirements and all the prerequisites of any inquiries by the officers. So they will all be trained on the procedures and what the policy states. And when we do an audit, like Sergeant Garcia says, one of the key ones is you have to enter a case number. If you're if you're looking for something in particular, it has to be related to an investigation of some sort. And then when we do our monthly audits, if that's the case and we identify that somebody did without a case number, then they have to adhere to the regulations and disciplinary of any policy violations that may have occurred. So there's got to be those checks and balances. We certainly appreciate you bringing that forward, but I think it's really important that we truly also believe that there's going to be behavior that's going to be unacceptable, and that's what the policies are in place for. So that we would handle it in that way.
Excellent. Thank you both for your answers. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you,
Erin.
Mario and Lisa, do you see the questions that have come in through the
I do.
Q&A?
I see 2 of them, so I'll read them out and then what that's from. Says, can you explain how data is shared with other agencies? Yes. So Flock allows us to share with agencies that we choose. Within the city, county of San Mateo, agencies share with each other so that because we're such a small county and agencies help each other tremendously, we would share that information so that if we entered a stolen vehicle here, because let's say someone woke up, the vehicle was stolen, we would enter that into the system. It would go into the system, it would feed the systems within San Mateo County, and then they would get an alert if that vehicle was to enter their county. And then they would give us they would react on it, investigate that crime, and then come to us. If they were looking to just see if, hey, we had a stolen vehicle, did it go into your areas? We know that, it's subsequently located across the bay, but we want to see if they did anything else in the county. Agencies within our county would still be able to query us, and they would get that information. But when they do that, because it's not an active hit, they would have to put in the reason why they're pulling the data from the system, and then we would go ahead and grant it. It is a one-to-one share, so that kind of sharing information happens almost immediately, because we would need that level of cooperation and sharing with our counties, with the people of cities within our counties, so that we could easily and react quickly to vehicles that are stolen, and maybe, you know, they do a stolen catalytic converter in Daly City. They come through Brisbane and they come here. We would need to be able to get that information quickly, so that we would do that at the shared data bank with people within our county. Now, outside of our county, it would be queried as a lookup tool. And what that means is they would, let's say if you were in Alameda and you say, you know, I want to see where this vehicle's been, they query the system, they would only get a alert that says, hey, you know what, that vehicle came up in Brisbane. They would then, because we don't have that level of sharing with them, they would then need to initiate in the system, hey, I need this information because this was involved in a crime over here. I need to know what it was doing over there, what times it came through over there to get a timestamp. We would then look at that request and then give them permission to get that information in regards to that picture that you see. Agencies within our county would get that picture immediately, but everyone outside of our city would have to, what's called a lookup. They would get that lookup ability, and then they would have to contact us. The next question would be, is data saved? Is data saved for 30 days if no alert is created? Yes. So 30 days is the data, the data retention. And why we need that 30 days is, let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say someone goes on vacation. They go on vacation on the first week of January. They're gone for 2 weeks. They get back and the vehicle was stolen. They would then tell us, hey, my vehicle was stolen. I don't know when. I've been gone for 2 weeks. We would need at least a 30-day period, because that would encompass I would have to guess that 30 days would give us enough time for anyone, if they were leaving the city, would have to develop whether their vehicles were stolen. And we can then go into the system and query that data to see when that vehicle was actually stolen and when it left our city. The disadvantage in creating is such, if let's say you did it for a week, we may not have that video. And this has kind of happened in surveillance videos throughout the years. We go to a place where, we would, hey, someone used this credit card. Do you have video of this person using the credit card? Sometimes we would get the response of, well, we only keep 3 days. But unfortunately, we don't get the crime until it's reported to us until a week and a half later. By that time, that lead is gone. So the 30 days is intended so that we have enough of snapshot of data so that we can still get that information. Obviously, within 30 days, that information is deleted and is not recoverable. Next question. Anybody else? Caroline, do you see any other questions?
No. Anyone want to raise their hand and ask a question?
Okay, well, we're at 6:38. I'm going to put our information up, our contact information. Again, this presentation will be shown on the July 7th meeting. If there are still questions that you'd like asked, if you don't want to ask them through email or call us directly, or if you want to ask them on July 7th, it will also be shown there in the same manner. Again, Commander Mario Garcia, Chief Lisa Macias is here as well. And we thank you to the community for coming out. I appreciate everybody taking their time this evening, and we strive to be as transparent as possible, and hopefully we answered all the questions. Chief, do we have anything you want to say?
No, thank you. Thank you for those that were with us today and those that are going to watch this after the fact. But these are exciting times. Certainly, technology is moving very rapidly, and we're looking at additional tools to really help in our investigations to keep our community and our business community safe. So we hope that you see the benefit of ALPRs, and if you have any questions, concerns, please feel free to reach out. We're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.